This is your daily dose of all things royal. Breaking news, everybody. Prince Harry resigns from his own charity, SENTEBALE. Yeah, this happened this afternoon, and I've taken some time to do some digging on this, and we need to talk. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. I think things are starting to catch up with Prince Harry, and he is bailing. So Kate Mancy, who's the assistant editor to the Times UK, dropped this bombshell this afternoon, and part of me thinks that all this media that's coming out now is Prince Harry trying to stay ahead of a scandal that is brewing. So I'm going to go through this Times UK article so you can hear exactly what has gone on, and then we're going to talk about it. So the article begins by, it says, the Duke of Sussex has made the devastating decision to resign from his charity SENTEBALE amid unthinkable infighting in the organization. Prince Harry, who established the African charity in 2006, has quit in solidarity with his co-founder and the entire board of trustees after the relationship between the charity's trustees and the chair of the board broke down beyond repair, creating an untenable situation. In an extraordinary joint statement, which is yet to be officially released, Harry and his co-founder, Prince Seeiso of Lesotho, wrote, "What transpired is unthinkable. We are in shock that we have to do this. SENTEBALE, which means forget-me-not, is in a state of crisis, and the Times understands that it's now the subject of a Charity Commission investigation." Harry set up the charity with Prince Seeiso, whose mother died in 2003, after visiting the landlocked country of Lesotho during his gap year in 2004. SENTEBALE was created to help people in Lesotho and Botswana living in poverty and those suffering from HIV and AIDS. However, in a joint statement, they said, "Nearly 20 years ago, we founded SENTEBALE in honor of our mothers. SENTEBALE means forget-me-not in Sesotho, the local language of Lesotho, and it's what we've always promised for the young people we've served through this charity. Today is no different. With heavy hearts, we have resigned from our roles as patrons of the organization until further notice, in support of and solidarity with the Board of Trustees who have had to do the same. It is devastating that the relationship between the charity's trustees and the chair of the board broke down beyond repair, creating an untenable situation." Last night, a spokesman for SENTEBALE said that the charity had carried out a restructuring of its board as confirmation of its strategy to redeploy senior roles to be proximate to most of the team and programs in Southern Africa. It is understood that the row is centered around a loss in trust and confidence in the chair. Sophie Chandauka, a Zimbabwe-born lawyer, was appointed to the post last year and is understood to be suing the trustees after they questioned whether she was best placed to chair the board. Siding with the departing trustees, the prince's statement said, "These trustees acted in the best interests of the charity in asking the chair to step down, while keeping the well-being of staff in mind. In turn, she sued the charity to remain in this voluntary position, further underscoring the broken relationship. We thank all the trustees for their service over the years and are truly heartbroken they've had to follow through with this act. What's transpired is unthinkable. We are in shock that we have to do this, but we have a continued responsibility to SENTEBALE's beneficiaries, so we will be sharing all of our concerns with the Charity Commission as to how this came about. Although we may no longer be patrons, we will always be its founders, and we will never forget what this charity is capable of achieving when it is in the right care." The Charity Commission confirmed on Tuesday that an investigation was underway. A spokesman said, "We can confirm that we are aware of the concerns about the governance of SENTEBALE. We are assessing the issues to determine the appropriate regulatory steps. Chandoka has refused to step down, forcing the resignation of the charity's trustees, including Mark Dyer, who served as an equerry to the king in the 1990s and has been a lifelong friend of Prince Harry. In a joint statement, the former trustees, Timothy Butcher, Mark Dyer, Audrey Hazendinsky, Kalelo Larotoli, and Damian West said, "As a group of British and African trustees, we have made the difficult decision to unanimously resign as board members of SENTEBALE. We are deeply proud to have supported the visionary work of the founding patrons, Prince Siso and Prince Harry, who founded SENTEBALE in memory of their mothers. For 2 decades, SENTEBALE has championed hundreds of thousands of children and young people, providing them with care, training, and life skills, which not only benefit each individual child they support, but their families and their communities as a whole. Today's decision is nothing short of devastating for all of us, but we see no other path forward as the result of our loss in trust and confidence in the chair of the board. Our priority has always been, and always will be, what's in the best interests of the charity. And it's desperately sad the breakdown in relationship escalated to a lawsuit by the chair against the charity to block us from voting her out after our request for her resignation was rejected. We could not in good conscience allow SENTEBALE to undertake that legal and financial burden and have been left with no other option but to vacate our positions. This was not a choice willingly made, but rather something we felt forced into in order to look after the charity. Our sincere hope is that with this decision, the road ahead steadies for the sake of our staff and the communities we serve. SENTEBALE is simply too important to us. Last night, a spokesman for SENTEBALE said the charity had not received notice of the prince's resignation. He added that the recalibration of the board was part of SENTEBALE's ambitious transformation agenda. While SENTEBALE has appointed new members to the board, the princes will be less easily replaced. Harry traveled to Africa last year to support the charity and in December attended an event for the charity in New York. However, there were already reports that all was not well at the charity after it moved its operation to Africa and several key figures left the organization. Richard Miller quit as chief executive in December after 5 years in the role. He was replaced by Johannesburg-based Carmel Gallard, who was asked to deliver a strategic transformation of the charity. At the time, Harry and Prince Siso, the younger brother of Lesotho's Letsi III, said, "This shift reflects our continued commitment to being guided by voices from within the region we serve. We sincerely thank Richard for his pivotal role in steering our organization toward this important evolution." Miller said that it was the next logical step for SENTEBALE and that the time is right for this shift to local leadership. Miller's departure came shortly after that of Baroness Chalker of Walsey, the former Overseas Development Minister who stepped down as a director. Andrew Tucker, another executive who was known affectionately to Harry as Tux, also left his post. A spokesman for SENTEBALE said, "We are pleased to confirm the restructuring of our board on March 25, 2025, to introduce experts with the capabilities and networks to accelerate SENTEBALE's transformation agenda, as announced last year." In April 2024, SENTEBALE signaled its evolution from a development organization focused on addressing the impact of HIV/AIDS on the lives of children and young people in Lesotho and Botswana to one that's addressing issues of youth health, wealth, and climate resilience in Southern Africa. Our highly successful return to Southern Africa campaign with prospective international funders in October 2024 demonstrated SENTEBALE's potential in these domains. So here's my take on this situation. It feels like a deliberate smear campaign targeting Sophie. We should all recall how Meghan treated her, which adds some type of context. What stands out to me is the Times publishing a statement about Prince Harry stepping down from SENTEBALE before the organization itself had it. That timing, I would think it's a little suspicious, like an orchestrated move against Sophie, just as something bigger is about to unravel. I mean, let's put ourselves in her shoes for a moment. Why would she bother suing Sentabale over a voluntary role unless she'd been wronged or unjustly pushed out? If it were simply a matter of not getting along or bad fit, why endure the hassle, especially with no real incentive? You know what I mean? There are so many other African charities that Sophie could have gone to give her time voluntarily. Nah, this has a real vibe of public blame game, pinning everything on Sophie so openly. It really does smell like a character assassination to protect someone else's image, if you know what I'm saying. All right, let's try and apply some common sense here. If Sentabale meant so much to Prince Harry and he's so gutted and devastated, why didn't he fight for it? I mean, he's never hesitated to throw money at petty lawsuits before. Here you have two wealthy princes. They could easily dip into their pockets to defend themselves if they were in the clear. Like, I know that they mean that Sentabale would suffer the financial blow, but, you're the patron of this charity and you're a multimillionaire. You definitely could have put your hand in your pocket. I think a strong counter lawsuit would have likely forced Sophie to back off, assuming they were innocent. Instead, Harry's running away, citing some weak excuse about sparing Sentabale the financial burden. That dodge, to me, suggests there's more to this story they don't want exposed. Now, from this article, it seems to me that Sentabale is moving away from its original purpose, which is serving, I guess, children with HIV and getting them the proper medication and giving them a better life. But it seems like they're shifting towards more of the globalist UN WEF style agenda. But I don't think that's the root of this conflict. My hunch is that this ties back to, you guessed it, money. More specifically, USAID. Now, with that funding tap turned off, the free money to pocket has dried up, pushing them to cozy up now to the UN. Reflected in the new board appointments, when you look at where they come from, they all have the background supporting this globalist agenda. Another issue is the idea of moving operations closer to the communities they serve. That shouldn't be a problem if the goal is genuinely to help people. But it would be inconvenient for a predominantly British board if they've been siphoning funds into their own UK or offshore accounts. Relocating operations makes that harder to hide. If Harry truly cared about this cause, he'd taken Sophie head on to protect it. Isn't he supposed to be the fearless dragon slayer? Nah, this looks like Harry's being a coward because this woman actually had been with Sentabale for a long time. So you mean to tell me all of a sudden now nobody gets along with her? I don't buy it for a second. And especially we're dealing with Mr. Harry who, doesn't know how to lead anything. Look at what he did with African Parks. The guy ran away. He was president of that charity and then moved over to be board of directors, and he refuses to get involved to help the Baka people. So do I think there's another scandal going on here? You bet I do. And I think it has to do with funds and money and misappropriating, the resources and it not getting to help the people. And I think a big reason for why they're moving locally is so they can actually help people. I don't think Sophie is in the wrong here. If she truly feels something is amok and was planning on suing Sentabale because there is some injustice going on and Harry doesn't want to fight it, nah, I think there's more to this story than we're being told. And this right now, all this media that we're seeing with Harry being devastated is really just crisis management. So when you look at how the PR works for the Sussexes, they're always in crisis mode. So right now, I think this is part of let's get ahead of it and let's get out there first and let's, taint the waters and make Sophie look like the bad one when I think there's more going on here. And considering what we've seen so far, Prince Harry and his horrendous wife, no doubt there's something amok. So I'll keep my eyes on it. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you think that stepping away is a good thing? What do you think is going to happen to this charity? I actually feel sorry that this charity might not survive, especially if there's so much now against Sophie. I mean, this literally was a character assassination, making Sophie look like this horrible woman who just didn't want to leave. And I'm sure that there's going to be people online like the Sussex Squad that are going to be paid to go after this woman, which is the sad thing. But definitely let me know what you think. I found this really interesting today. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye!
You're such a fraud.